And hey everybody, welcome back. Man, it seems like it's been a long time, but the shorter these slates are, the more time I have to prepare and don't really have to jump on it right away during the week. And we just get to go over these slates within a short amount of time, literally 48 hours before the slate locks. But welcome back. I'm your boy, Grade A Fantasy. Happy New Year. Let's get right into it. We're going to do basically the same thing like how we did for the last week, and we are going to just go over the top plays, what I think are for the Sunday slate. I will only be playing the Sunday slate. So we'll be going over that. Good luck if you're playing the entire weekend or the Saturday slate. Sorry that I can't help you there, but I'm just focusing on Sunday for today's slate. And still waiting for some of these images to load up. But is that really much of an issue? No. Internet connection is a little bit, wonky, but I'm still able to get, the slate up. But here we go. And before we go into this, for FanDuel this week, I'll probably make up my mind tonight or by tomorrow afternoon whether if I'm jumping into the 20 max or the $3 150. We'll see. But let's get right into it. So, starting at the quarterback position. Obviously, those top two quarterbacks right there, they're going to be the top. They're going to be definitely the highest owned in Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. I definitely prefer Hurts this week because it's going to be a theme of this video, the war of attrition on the 49ers defense. I mean, let's be real. In the 49ers winner take all of the division season finale against the Seahawks, the backup to probably the best linebacker in the game, Fred Warner, got hurt. On top of just how bad that defensive backfield is, I just love Jalen Hurts. He's my number one player. I understand Josh Allen every now and then, and he's also due at least one of these in the playoffs. But still, regardless, as big a fan of Josh Allen I am, my favorite quarterback, without a doubt, is Jalen Hurts. He's going to have the opportunity to QB sneak. He could cancel out Barkley. He could also hit Barkley on one big screen. He can also attack that secondary with all three. I think Jalen doubles. If you really want to get different, but it's going to cost a lot, Jalen triples are probably possible. Most of the time, with me and Jalen Hurts this week, I literally have been doing this because running backs who actually have the explosion to take it to the house, I'm pretty good at making sure I get those weeks where, even though the running back is doing their damage on the run, that one correlation of when other people play the other quarterback single or naked and just, go with the wide receivers, you can get a unique correlation with Hurts and Saquon. But in most cases, you can play them both. It just sucks that those Sundays that you do play them, it's a whole bunch of QB sneaks with Hurts that takes away from Barkley. But there's a lot so far. This is exactly how my lineup starts. It's either Jalen Hurts, Saquon, Devontae Smith. I definitely prefer Devontae Smith in this matchup, slightly over A.J. Brown, but I will get to Jalen Hurts, Saquon, and a wide receiver. And I think the least I will probably have is Goddard. Is probably a stack with Goddard. I mean, I'm gonna have it because the goal line, the goal line error, there could be some play fakes, and Goddard could get there. And if Goddard somehow has one of those days where he goes 7 for 86 and 2 touchdowns, and you have a little bit of him, you might as well just close the laptop. But going on with that, without a doubt, Eagles stacks against that just injury-riddled 49ers defense. I mean, even if you barely watch the 49ers all year, or if you're just one of those fantasy people that just watch McCaffrey and a little bit of Purdy, just look at how, Charbonnet, a solid offensive line, just ate up the 49ers front seven. And once you have, guys like Charbonnet, you have guys like Charbonnet and Ken Walker running at you, well, it's not the most amazing season in the world, but guess what? You got a fresh Saquon Barkley coming at you. So, Eagle stacks primarily in my lineups, and then I'll differentiate from there. Drake May and Justin Herbert will probably be in the middle of ownership. I think the next level is obviously Trevor Lawrence. I think Trevor Lawrence, yes, it is a tall task. It's a big game. Can he have one of those games where he shrinks or whatever? Can he continue the hot streak? We'll see. But the thing is with Trevor Lawrence, that Bills defense is susceptible to the run and athletic quarterbacks. So I do like a healthy Trevor Lawrence scrambling. I do like Trevor Lawrence hitting underneath with Parker Washington. And he's another one that I will continue to stack with the running back. That's definitely something that worked more than it didn't, especially from late to mid-November to pretty much the end of the season, because basically that's when the Jags really caught fire. Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Jags are now on a 6 or 7 game winning streak right now, including an impressive victory in Mile High at Denver. So definitely like Trevor Lawrence here. It's fantasy. He's definitely somebody that will love that. It's obvious that he's going to be contrarian. Speaking of Drake May and Justin Herbert, I really think that's going to be a low-scoring game. Both of those defenses I really like. This does have a 20-17 playoff feel to it. I don't think this game shoots out. Could there be one of those big plays at the end of the night, because this is the night game? Could there be one of those big plays at the end of the night that kind of like shoot you up there? Possibly. But definitely Drake May, and I don't really think I'm ruling out anybody, because I love the fact that it's gonna force Brock Purdy, the Pittsburgh game, the Philadelphia game is gonna force Brock Purdy, because a lot of people don't like the way San Francisco's looking, especially it's recency bias, like all the injuries. But besides the Seahawks, now this is still a good defense, but Philly is not the level. Philly is not the level, especially with people leaving after the Super Bowl. You're going to keep so many people so long. It sucks if Purdy doesn't get Trent Williams back. But still, it still forced Purdy to, go into a high volume pass mode. No Pearsall, so, we'll go over the wide receiver option, because there is a wide receiver that I do like that is probably going to be contrarian. Like I said, in these kind of slates, contrarian people are like 15% and under, instead of you looking for the single digits on the main slate. But Brock Purdy, if there's anybody that's good that I like, that I'm excited about, that's being contrarian, and there's a possibility that, hey, the Eagles can come in here and stink it out, because the Eagles are still somebody that can't be trusted, but this does look like a juicy matchup. I do like Brock Purdy. Like I said, my least favorite game is the last one, but what sucks is that last one you're going to feel like you're going to have to get a piece of it. I don't think I'm going to game stack it. It's going to be my least stacked game. There are options that I do like for it, but I don't think I'll be worried about stacking. I think that's the game that kind of underperforms. What was surprising about this, too, before we go into running backs, once I saw the matchup, I swore that the 49ers and Philly game was going to be the highest, total. Now, when the schedule came out and the teams got confirmed and the days got confirmed and so on and so forth, I was still surprised. No, well, I wasn't surprised at the Buffalo-Jacksonville game. I mean, that I understand. But I swore that the Los Angeles game would have been the lowest game. And now both scores have gone down only by 1 point. When I first started doing research, preparing for this show, because I was thinking about doing this show Thursday or Friday, the San Francisco 49ers were actually the lowest on the Sunday slate. Now, the lowest out of the whole weekend is Houston versus Pittsburgh, understandably. That's the Monday night game. But San Francisco and Philly is now 44.5. It opened at 45.5. Los Angeles is now 45.5. They opened at 46.5. So both have gone down by a point. But I really think with Purdy have to be in, like I said, how he basically played, obviously it didn't work out for the new year or whatever, but it definitely was, San Francisco was looking like one of the best offenses definitely in December. I think Philly being a good defense, not a great defense, like they're the next level underneath, the Denvers, the Houstons, and, who else? Why am I blanking on this? The top three defenses, I would say it would be Denver, Houston. Oh, yeah, Seattle, yes. There you go. I think those three are in a class by itself. And then I think in the next level, you can put, the Pittsburghs. You might even be able to put Jacksonville at the bottom of the next tier, because that was an overrated suspect defense. And it seems like with coaching and practicing and how well they got better as the season gone on, plus they're a big reason why they got that 6-game winning streak towards the end of the season to take the division. Yeah, they're definitely in that second range or whatever. But it's definitely something that you can see going contrarian. Like I said, I have no problem with a Brock Purdy being contrarian. But like I said, there's a reason why those two guys are the top. And like I said, for me, it's Josh Allen. I mean, it's Jalen Hurts without a doubt. I will be getting to most of these quarterbacks. Definitely. The least I'll probably be getting to, like I said, is that last game. If anything, I might get to May, being the fact that he's at home. And both offenses are kind of the same, but I do like May a little bit better than Herbert. So with that being the fact of, I think you can use definitely Drake May, because definitely a way, just like New England, definitely a way to beat the defenses. Both of these defenses is definitely over the top. And I could definitely see Diggs eating up the secondary. I could definitely see maybe Kayshon Boutte getting deep and goal line touches for the tight ends as well. Okay, now let's get into the running back. So, a lot of interesting stuff here. From here on out, this is where I'm just going to give you what I feel. We obviously know what the chalk plays are. It's a short slate. So some of these people are going to be mid. Regular owned in this kind of slate is going to be like 28 to 34%. Like I said, you start looking at contrarian like when they're like 15 or whatever, as long as they're in the teens. But Christian McCaffrey is going to get a workload. We already know that. Saquon Barkley, when it comes to these running backs, is without a doubt my number one play. Like I said, war of attrition, running against that beat up San Francisco defense in general. Damn the front seven, just a beat up defense overall. It's going to be interesting to see how the Jacksonville defense. I have a feeling this is going to be one of those Jacksonville defense that still limits James Cook, but they're definitely going to need James Cook to do maybe a little bit extra to help Allen. So I don't really think I have. Like I said, I don't really think there's anybody that I'm ruling out on the slate. I like to do that to like really gain an advantage or whatever, and it's definitely a dangerous and fun way to sweat a slate or whatever, and it's definitely a strategy that can uplift you over the right person that you pick. It could uplift you to like maybe a 34% type of advantage in a way with the way ownership goes in a 2 to 3 game playoff slate. But James Cook is definitely something that I like. Travis Etienne is my second favorite play because the Buffalo defense, even though it can be stingy, it's a defense that's on the road. Playoff time, Etienne. I think they still stick with maybe a little Tootin Vulture, which is why Tootin's probably one of those cheap guys that you might want to get. It could be one of those things where, damn, Etienne gets all these catches, but Etienne gets a few of these catches and gets these runs. But if Tootin vultures two of these things at like 5,400, whatever the hell he is, I think, on this slate, then stuff like that is what you got to think about and just take a risk at, along with, getting to multiple studs like a A.J. Brown and maybe another Saquon if you get like, Jalen Hurts and pay down for defense, tight end, and the third wide receiver. Because remember, on this slate, paying down for wide receiver is not really a hard thing. There's literally one pay up on Sunday, and then it tremendously drops by a few thousand. But once again, we'll get to that. But when it comes to this upper echelon here, it's Saquon. Then for me personally, I already know it's Saquon because if Philly does what it has to do and it gangs up on Christian McCaffrey, that's why I like Purdy so much. Yes, he can throw to McCaffrey, but if they limit McCaffrey also on the ground and he has to get all that through the air, it still reduces his ceiling. And then maybe he's not worth the $9,500 play. He looks more like a great $8,000 play. Because the magic of McCaffrey, remember, he has to do it on both sides of the offense in a way. But the receiving aspect intensifies and raises his ceiling. If he's just struggling on the ground, and yes, maybe he gets a goal line look, okay, but if he's struggling on the ground, they got to move the ball everywhere else, and he's only getting it to the cap, he's most likely not going to be worth that $9,500. Not on this slate, most likely. But it's still easy to be worth $9,500 because on a short slate, $9,500 times 2 is times 2.5 on a short slate is the equivalent of going times 3 and more on a bigger slate. Because you can easily have an ugly slate and he's $9,500. Guess what? He might be the only main stud you need. Things could happen in a way because you got to look at this. Definitely got to look at this uniquely. It's almost the way you got to look at, a very short slate, which this is, or a single game. As we get under there, I like Travion Henderson. Don't love him. I'll be getting to both. But if you ask me, I'll get to Ramondre because they literally don't throw this kid the ball. Ramondre gets the run, the goal line looks like Travion. Travion can hit the home run. And that's what you have to worry about. So in this case, if you don't go Ramondre, even though Ramondre can bust big plays, the bigger home run hitter on a slate like this, Ramondre will have the volume, but Travion could also be looked at somebody in the way of, oh, in 9 runs, he had 87 yards and 2 touchdowns. It just happens that way. Any question marks? Omarion Hampton's, I think, literally the only question on the slate. I don't think Ricky Pearsall, he's still questionable, but he's looking like he's not going to play. He's trending in that direction. Omarion Hampton is officially questionable for Sunday. So this is either, and normally if it's a Sunday night game, don't expect to hear news on Saturday. This is not one of those kind of things. They're going to give him the whole Saturday, and typically the way a football player's body works, especially now that he's somewhat used to this professional life, they're going to give him the entire day and probably not let him really put any weight or exertion on that ankle until 7 o'clock warm-ups. Damn the locker room. Damn, it's going to be all about treatment, and we're going to see what you can do 7 o'clock, 7:15. Because that is an 8 o'clock kickoff. So if you're thinking about, and like I said, I'm not really liking Chargers running backs anyway. It's still a New England defense that haven't getting eaten up lately, but in the playoff atmosphere, and I think against a somewhat basic, like I said, they got to beat over the top. I really think Vrabel will have that run defense ready. If Omarion Hampton doesn't go, Vidal is literally 5,600. So just remember, it's the last game, and if you have a couple of spots, you have $1,000 to work with. So just keep that in mind. If Omarion Hampton is your last person of the night, then you just letting you know you're forfeiting $1,000. Right on the hen is probably my preferred, like I said, New England Patriot, 6,300. This is about the gap they were week 18. Travion was 7,000 though. Now he's a little bit lower. Like I said, and then we drop all the way down to 52. Bishop Tootin, do you see him getting anything? If there's one running back, that would shock me. I know I'm not going to get to him because McCaffrey in this throughout these next 3 games, McCaffrey is just going to be needed, and he's just going to be in there for rest. If he gets the lucky goal line, play, then so be it. But I will be fading Brian Robinson. He will not be used, or in my case, I don't think he's really needed. I really do hope Ty Johnson clears his questionable tag. He's definitely somebody that I like because I like the fact that he gets the receiving. If somehow Jacksonville kind of stuns and shuts down and then forces Josh Allen to be Superman, it's going to be Josh Allen attacking with the tight ends and then setting up that one screen pass and hopefully Ty Johnson, who has the breakaway speed to take one deep. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm really hoping for when it comes down to these low-owned pieces that might help you fit in extra pieces. After that, there's nothing else you should be looking for. I don't think Ray Davis is viable, not in this matchup. I think because of the receiving, the lowest you should think about is Ty Johnson at 4,900. Let's get to these receivers. So there you go. You got A.J. Brown at 8,400, and then basically it shoots all the way down $1,500 to Parker Washington. I'll be getting to A.J. Brown. Parker Washington should be able to kill the Bills underneath in the slot. Definitely going to be 2 popular plays of mine this week. Devontae Smith, there you go. Now, let's get to the other pieces. Jawan Jennings, his volume goes up, especially with no Ricky Pearsall. I like Jawan Jennings, don't love him, but I prefer the fact that Jawan's going to be more on the outside. They do move him a bit, but I like Jawan Jennings more on the outside because he will, I forgot the kid's name, but he's one of the best slot corners in the league. Man, I can't believe I forgot his name, but when it comes to slot wide receivers, they don't really have a good time against Philly. So Jawan Jennings on the outside is viable, plus he'll get more looks. Against tight ends, they do guard the tight end well, but this is still George Kittle. So I still like the fact that George Kittle will see more volume. Like I said, it's the playoffs. You might get the unsung hero that has a great game or make a couple of big plays in the second half. But Jawan Jennings, contrarian, George Kittle will most likely be a popular pick as a one-off, but nobody's really going to be stacking the 49ers. Like I said, a lot of people respect how good that Philly defense still is. It's the offense that's horrible, guys. And when they do those quick 3-and-outs, they tire out the defense. So that's what makes the 49ers so contrarian. Stephon Diggs, If he can attack the secondary, I like him if he gets some strong volume. But if not, then that's when you gotta start looking at Keyshawn Booty and Hunter Henry, and then there's other pieces there. Like I said, Lad McConkey, I like him more than Quentin Johnson. Remember, this is New England, so shutdown corners normally to the left, and who plays the left main wide receiver spot? That's Quentin Johnson. I'll be low on Quentin Johnson. I'll be attacking with Vlad, and I'll also be looking at getting to a very cheap Keenan Allen at 5,600. Keyshawn Booty, there he goes with the hamstring, but I think he's trending to play. Once again, Pearsall not really trending in that direction. Jacoby Myers, just because the Bills do protect deep doesn't mean people can't get deep. They do get beat over the field once in a while, but who says they still can't give up plays and give up a deep slant? I'm not going to fade Jacoby Myers because they like to guard deep. I will still have sprinkles of Brian Thomas Jr. because watching the Jaguars lately, even though they take chances with Brian Thomas, literally now, they give more of the deep shots to Jacoby Myers, and Brian Thomas could take in effect of the medium part of the field as he trends deep. So you definitely got to look out for that as well. Let me see. What else here? Keenan Allen, I like Demario Douglas. Oh, and here's the other guys that I'm talking about. This could be the week where you get a deep pass or you get a key 7 receptions, 49 yards out of Kendrick Bourne. I like him. I also like DeMarcus Robinson because, like I said, if you expect Philly to get on top of San Francisco, DeMarcus Robinson and Kendrick Bourne, I definitely pick DeMarcus over Kendrick Bourne because DeMarcus will play the outside while Kendrick Bourne will probably play the slot. Like I said, it's just taking a gamble on Buffalo guys, but not really much that I like down here at all. Like I said, the one thing about Buffalo, if you get the wide receiver and stack that right, that it will be one of the most contrarian pairings you have, and you will automatically probably see yourself in the top 50 by the end of the night in position to win. Let's get on to the tight end. Had to do a quick pause there real quick. Let's get into the tight ends. Okay, we got this here. I'm sorry. Let me just do a quick pause here real quick, and I'll be right back in action. What's up, brother? So, let's get right back into things. No more interruptions. Let's finish this off. So, George Kittle, hurt. George Kittle plays hurt. I think Dallas Goedert is also trending to play. So don't worry about those Q-tag. That's why I said literally the main Q-tag is the Omarion Hampton situation with his ankle. He didn't practice Wednesday, Thursday, and I think he did light work Friday. Is that really trending in the right direction? Not really. At least put in a limited practice because I don't even think what you could call what he put in would be even recommended as a limited practice, but so be it. Hunter Henry, not the best matchup, but I still like the offense against that. I still love the aspect of the, just the receiving core in general. I just think New England's in a really good spot, even though like I said, I think that's going to be a really tough game. It has 23-17, 2017 vibes, really. It feels like that's more of a single game where both field goal kickers and one of the defense are going to be optimal, without a doubt. Brenton Strange against Buffalo. Like I said, you can attack Buffalo underneath. I don't like I said, this is the way these teams are. I know certain things can happen, but Brenton Strange is still somebody that can attack Buffalo underneath. But Buffalo is one of those teams that have very good coverage linebackers, as you can see by that defensive ranking. But like I said, sometimes you can't be fully scared of the defensive ranking. And like I said, I like everything underneath. And, somewhat deep slants. Do I see Jacoby Myers still making big plays against them, going deep and doing some things? Yes. But you just can't be afraid. Like this, you can't get to every easy spot in every slate. So, Brenton Strange should not be ruled out. Kincaid, as usual, put in a good practice. One of probably the best plays because Jacksonville linebacker core is the opposite of the Buffalo Bills linebacking core, where you have Dalton Kincaid can't possibly break the slate. Dalton Kincaid has 2 touchdown upside, even if he doesn't get the yardage. But if he can beat the coverage of these linebackers and get into the next level where the secondary is, instead of the typical Superman game of Josh Allen with James Cook, this could be a Dalton Kincaid 6 to 8 reception game for 80 something yards. I'm not going to OD and say 100 yards, 100-yard bonus, but he definitely has 2 touchdown upside because he gets the goal line look, and he possibly can get some type of out flat slant streak down the sideline, get a one-on-one matchup, and get something in the red zone. Arondé Gatson against New England. I definitely like Arondé Gatson. I can never forget one of my young favorite rookies this year. Like I said, Vrabel is more impactful stopping the run. I think somebody with so much versatility and size can have the advantage over the linebacking core of the Patriots. So I think he's a low-owned piece, low-owned and cheap piece that you can't forget. Don't forget Dawson Knox. There are times where they'll line up with 2 tight ends. This could be that annoying little piece early, like, damn, they went to Dawson instead of Kincaid, even though Kincaid is healthy. There's going to be lineups where I'm going to try getting to both Knox and Kincaid. There's going to be times where I think there could be a possibility. I'm just giving you all the opportunities and all the thoughts. There could be opportunities where Kincaid does all the damage and you get a Superman Josh Allen game. Maybe a touchdown game with that tough defense, and then you get that one touchdown that damn you thought Kincaid needed, but then it goes to a cheap Knox who's 4,700, and then you go about the rest of your day. Anything else down here? I know the 49ers definitely like to go to Jake Tonjes on the goal line. He was definitely one of my favorite plays when Kittle was hurt. So when Kittle does get rest, Jake Tonjes is definitely somebody to look out for. My favorite contrarian play, because it did, annoy me, even though later on in the game he did get that touchdown. Just like how I talk about Jake Tonjes to George Kittle, guess what? It's Austin Hooper. Austin Hooper will get some goal line looks. It's an old school running offense. There will be 2 tight end looks inside the 10, inside the 5. Definitely look out for an Austin Hooper touchdown this week. It might be even something fun to bet, to be honest. Talking about long shots, I would not mind putting not parlay it, but I wouldn't mind a single bet on Austin Hooper, Dawson Knox, or Arondé Gatson. We really don't have to talk about defense, but let's just do it, so I guess I could fill in these last few minutes so I can make this video like last week's video around a half hour. Obviously at home to end the night, like I said, I do love New England. But guess what? I do love the fact of how tough the Chargers play. That is a defense that I respect. I have no problem paying down for the Chargers defense. I won't be getting to San Francisco defense. I won't. Even if the Eagles have one of those days where they just can't get out the way, the San Francisco 49ers don't even have the staff. It's just a bunch of guys trying their hardest. I don't think they can create any turnovers or return anything for a touchdown. I don't see that upside for them. So if there's the first time I'm talking about a full fade, it will be the 49ers defense. I will get to every other defense but theirs. Pretty much be it. I think every other defense is in a good spot. But nothing wrong with the punt and nothing wrong with the top value. And the one thing I do like, unless it's one of those super ultimate defenses, like I said, I'm pretty sure you'll see defense. I'm pretty sure if you play the whole slate, Houston's like 5,000. Denver's going to be 5,000 next week. Seattle in the playoffs are going to be 5,000. As long as they're regular to good defenses, the one good thing is you already know taking the top defense here, but obviously everything else is already priced in around that. 4,800 New England. You're already saving $200 off, what typical top defense would be. But anyway, thank you for tuning in once again. This is the wild card weekend for 2026. Welcome to the playoffs. We are basically a month away from the Super Bowl. Thank you for tuning in. Basically, these shows are going to be in this format from here on out. Just full breakdowns and me explaining certain things and just doing the best of my ability to give you obviously what you think are the good plays, but what are those little pay downs that you can be like, shit, I can't believe he got it, but I'm explaining why he can get it. No position breakdowns. It's just gonna be full slates because we got nothing else but short slates from here on out. Just a word of advice. No, I do not do. For the 3 years that I've been doing this, no, I do not do like previews for the Super Bowl. I really don't do single game previews like that. So last show will be NFC Championship and AFC Championship weekend. Thank you for tuning in. This is your boy, Grade A Fantasy. Happy New Year, and thank you once again for tuning in. This is your boy, Grade A Fantasy, signing off.